Hey guys, thanks for joining me, and today we'll be looking at the Ampapa A1. This guy right here is a phono preamp, a line preamp, and a headphone amp. I'm not positive if it's pronounced Ampapa or Ampapa, but I'm Latino, so I'm gonna go with Ampapa. Right out the box, I'll tell you, the build quality on this unit is awesome. It's very solid, aluminum on the knobs as well. They have these little knurlings, so it feels really good in your hand. The package comes with a set of tubes, which are GE5654Ws. So let's go through the controls first. The first control is a bass knob set to 0 at the top, -6 to +6. The next are treble, and finally our volume pot. It has some little indents so you can definitely feel where you're at right there. Up on top we have our toggles. The first toggle is our power, so we have on and off, and it feels really good in the hand. When you click over, they don't feel cheap whatsoever. Down the row we have our input selector. We can have it on our phono or our line input. And finally, we have an LED control right here, which in the center we have the LEDs turned off. To the left, we have orange LEDs, and to the right, it goes to green. And finally, a 3.5mm headphone output. On the back side, we have our phono ground. So you'd want to connect your phono turntable, if it has a ground, to this part right here. And that'll get rid of some ground loops if you have them. Not all turntables are going to have one of these on the back of them for a ground. Some newer turntables will have the ground built into the RCA cable and grounds out that way. Next we have our phono input, and this is where we connect the turntable that doesn't have a built-in phono preamp. Next we have our line level input. On this input we can connect the DAC or anything that takes a line level signal. If we have a turntable that has a built-in phono preamp that only outputs in line level, then that would go into this port right here. Next we have our RCA outputs. This is what will go to our amplifier or our powered speakers. And finally, our 12-volt power supply in right there. The power supply, it's a simple wall wart and it has the name Ampapa printed on it. And I find that super useful when you have these laying around. I would have also liked to see the model number on here as well. Just have them print the A1 as well, so I know that this power supply goes specifically with this unit. Just as future proof, if I get another Ampapa device, I won't have an issue of mixing them up. I'll do what I always do, and I'll go ahead and print a label and write Ampapa A1 on this unit. I'll turn it on for you guys so you can see the LEDs. I'll plug in the 12 volt, and when we switch the power on, you won't see any of the LEDs turn on if we have it on the off position of the LEDs, but you will get a slight glow from the heater on the tubes. And it's very, very subtle. You won't really notice it in the daytime, but at nighttime it does have a really nice glow. If you want the LEDs on, we can switch over to the green right there. It takes a second for it to wind up, or we can have an orange. Again, it fades down and fades back up. Definitely a lot more visible during the daytime. I listen to this unit on my den setup as well as through headphones. I spend about 2 weeks listening to the headphone port, and how I would normally listen would be in the evenings. I'd use the SMSL SU1, connect it into the line in, then I'd USB-C from the DAC over to my phone and load up Tidal. Tidal will give me a little pop-up saying the SU1 has been detected, and now I'd plug in my headphones here for some nighttime listening. I had the Ampapa set up on my nightstand. I found it to be super fun. Now at nighttime I had the lights off. That did allow me to listen to the music a little more concentrated, and I gotta say about these tone knobs, I found them to be really fun. I couldn't resist playing with these knobs to get just the right sound out of them. The tubiness of the little preamp does definitely come through. Whenever a song had a little bit of reverb, you'd get a little extra tail of that reverb, giving you that sense of that larger sound space with the headphones on. I found it to be awesome, super fun. The bass knob does awesome. It's not overpowered even when you crank it all the way up. The treble, after around 4, I found it to be a little much. It starts to get a little crunchy. So up to about 4, it's awesome. But I found myself playing with them, bringing it up, bringing it down to find it to my liking. And I just love the sound of this guy. It's definitely not a neutral sound. It has a lot of color, but I think when you go tubes, that's what you're expecting. You're expecting that warmness. You're expecting that little bit of lack of resolution and that increase of holographic image and spacing, at least at $140 price point. I'm sure you can get more resolution up in the thousands, but at this price point, for me, that's a great trade-off because I find the sound to be so fun. About a month ago, I reviewed the Doak T14 EQ phono preamp. That guy is definitely a lot more neutral compared to this unit right here. This one here has a lot more flavor. And the nice part is that you do have both that phono and line input, so you can add that tubby sound to your digital sources, not only your analog sources. All in all, a solid product for 140 bucks. I definitely would recommend it if you need a phono preamp, or even if you already have a solid state but you want to add a little tube flavor to it. This unit definitely delivers and gives you a little more scale. There's not much else to say about it. It's just a great product. Now I'll remind you, these sound clips aren't specifically to test the quality of the sound, just so you can hear the differences when you're comparing different devices. In this first set of sound clips, we'll have the sound coming out directly from the DAC, then coming out of the line output, and finally out of the headphone amp. The audio will be coming out of my PC through the Tidal app. And I'll be playing some copyright-free music from Tidal's library. On part 2, the sound clips will be listening to some vinyl on my turntable and bringing the audio through the Ampapa A1 through the phono inputs, then bringing a line level into the line inputs, and finally listening to the audio through the turntable's built-in phono preamp. And I'm keeping that section as part 2 so I don't get flat with a copyright infringement, as I don't have any copyright-free music on vinyl. Alright guys, so please listen to the samples and let me know what you think. Leave a comment below, share if you hear any differences or if you don't, but I would definitely suggest that you listen with headphones. And we'll see you on the next one.